Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about how to build affordable housing that actually works. We're going to prove it out with math in Penticton. And personally, I think that this model can work across Canada. Let's go. First, we're going to do the math. So affordable actually means something. Second, we're going to show the gap between incomes and current rents. And then third, we're going to lay out how to build to the math. City land, simple buildings, smart financing with no new taxes. Then I'm going to show you what a 150 home pilot in Penticton can start right now. Hey guys, my name is Jordan West. I am a former BC ambulance paramedic turned business builder. I've started 8 brands, 2 agencies, a software company, a restaurant, and so much more. And constantly I'm building, as you guys can probably tell, and I see in the comments sometimes. I live in Penticton, the best city in the world, and I am obsessed with making it better. I have also owned rentals and Airbnb, so I totally understand both sides and how affordability is not there for the average person. But guys, here is the plan. All right, let's talk about the affordability math. This is my 90-second calculation. In Penticton, the median household income is $68,000. The basic rule for affordability is that 30% of your gross income can go to housing. So 68,000 times 0.3 divided by 12 is $1,700 a month. That is the design line for a typical household here in Penticton, and to be honest, in a lot of places within Canada. Now, here's the second anchor, the living wage. That's $24.93 an hour as of this filming. That's 2 adults at 35 hours a week each, roughly at about $72.85 per month before our crazy taxes. And that's just in Canada. So 30% of that is about $21.85 a month for housing. So, and remember guys, I know a bunch of you guys in the comments are going to be talking about like, well, do we actually have jobs like that here in Penticton? We're going to talk about jobs in another video. This one is specifically about housing because we need to get affordable housing to actually be able to live here so that we can work here and we can create jobs here and we can create the most amazing city in the world. Sorry, back to this. Our affordable range in Penticton runs roughly between $1,000 and $2,200 a month, kind of depending on income, right? When we look at some of those and household size, obviously. So if a project can't hit those numbers, then it is not affordable, no matter what the press release says. Let's get into the rent card of what we're aiming for. So here is the rent card that I am holding this particular video to. So studios in between $850 and $1,050. Remember the days when that was actually just normal, especially here in Penticton. I'm thinking about the Lower Mainland. Like that was normal in the Lower Mainland not even that long ago, and things have gotten absolutely crazy. Now for a 1-bedroom, we're talking around $1,200 to $1,450. For a 2-bedroom, $1,600 to $1,900. And again, I'm not going to get into like 3 to 4 bedrooms, but I think that we can sort of understand where those are going to have to be in the sort of like $2,000 to $2,500 kind of range for families. Maybe even we can get them a little bit less than that. These sit at under 30% for local incomes from about $34,000 to $76,000. Now, if we build to this rent card, which is the math that I'm trying to do here right now, we are serving real Penticton households and families and people that want to move here and actually can afford being here. All right, let's talk about the gap and what is happening today. Right now, a typical 1-bedroom rents are a little over $1,100 and 2 bedrooms are in the mid $1,400s. That sounds close, but many single earners under $45,000 are getting pushed over that 30% line. And I can tell you that most rents that I'm seeing are actually well above that. And there's almost no new studios landing in the $850 to $1,050 range. We are not going to fix that with slogans. We need to actually figure out how to do that. And I do have some ideas, which I'm super excited. So stick around. I'm going to talk about some of the ideas here, not just the problems. Now, let's talk about the delivery model. Control the land and control the rent. So the cities that win on affordability actually control the land. And this is the interesting idea that I have for you. So when the city holds the land and leases it long-term to an operator, either an arm's length city housing corporation or a co-op and land trust. And I've often wondered, why do we not have these co-ops anymore? These were something that were around in like the 70s and the 80s. This was something that actually worked. And tell me in the comments why it doesn't work. It's just going to get this video more and more impressions. So that's what I'm going for here. The project doesn't carry market land cost. And that's really interesting. It's actually interesting for me to talk about this as like an ardent capitalist who also believes that the system is broken. I really truly believe that the system is broken and that we need to do something, and that the only way to do something is at the city level. I don't think at the federal or the provincial level we're actually able to do these things. We can see what the federal government is doing. Again, you guys can rant and rave down in the comments of what the federal government is doing right now and how it's actually not building things that actually make sense. And that's because business people are not doing it. We have like bureaucrats doing this stuff that make absolutely no more sense. All right, let's get back to what I'm talking about here. The one move that removes the number one cost driver that we can actually control locally, right? We can control that cost because I don't know if you guys know, but the city actually owns a lot of land. Then the building only has to carry the construction, operations, and some reserves. That's how we lock rents to the number that we just calculated and keep them there. So let's actually talk about the why, right? You guys can, go all crazy in the comments if you want. Just wait and hear me out here. So who builds and operates it? This is governance that actually works. So what you do is you set up an arm's length municipal housing corporation. So if that sounds crazy, don't worry, just kind of skip that over. Let's just call it the Penticton Housing Corporation. So its job is to lease city land on anywhere between 60 and 99 year terms to build or partner to build. And what we're really trying to do is we're trying to remove all the extra bureaucracy, the middlemen that are all taking money within there. We want to create something that's really, really simple and then operate with income tested eligibility and clear covenants. So rents cover operations, maintenance, reserves, and any of the debt service, not general taxes. So if we partner with co-ops or community land trusts, great. The city stays the landowner and affordability is locked in. The last thing that we want to do is create this, sell it, and then put it into the general housing market where people are going to try to profit on that housing. Am I saying that profiting on housing is a terrible thing? No, but I really think that we need to create some other housing that is going to start to bring down the costs. That is the really big thing that we need to do for each other as neighbors, right? As neighbors, we want there to be affordable housing. We want people to be able to actually be able to afford to go out for dinner, right? We want people to be able to live a life where they're not constantly working. All right, what we build. So 2 simple, repeatable streams. Number 1 is simple houses, some small Part 9 wood frame homes. You guys can go look those up. These are cottages, row homes, small clusters on standard plans. These fit on smaller city parcels and they go up with local crews and they can go up really fast, right? These are like very simple boxes that can be incredible homes for people. They don't have to be these like wild sort of builds that we're seeing here. These can be really, really simple. Stream number 2 is modular walk-ups. These are 3 to 4 story apartment stacks on larger city sites. I love this idea as well, and I think that this is really, really great for getting housing really fast. This is factory built pieces, and speaking of factories, let me tell you some exciting ideas that I have for Penticton assembled on site. So we standardize the plans, windows, doors, plumbing, electrical. Repeatability crushes these soft costs and delays. That is the point. And I think the reason why I love this so much is like I've run businesses for so long and I know where these issues come from, and I know where like these middlemen, kind of middle people come in and talk and are able to like raise the prices here and there. That is where government projects get stuck. And this is why I think that a city is in a very, very unique spot to be able to actually do something about this. So here's how we pay for it without raising taxes as a city to start. So number 1 is a low cost construction to stabilization loan designed for rentals. Number 2 is the 100% GST rebate on new purpose-built rentals. That is straight capital relief. That comes from the federal government, just so everyone knows. Number 3 is provincial support that prioritizes public land and below market rents. Again, all of these things are there for us. All that we have to do is actually have people or a local government that actually wants to make these changes, right? After lease up, move it to long-term pooled municipal borrowing so that the debt service is very predictable. And I think that we could do that with the debt service. I also know that Penticton actually happens to have some free cash that we could potentially do something with right now, which is really, really great. Now combine that with city land on a nominal ground lease, and the rent is like $850 to $1,900 for all of these, right? And that carries the building. The debt sits with the project, and then the project is paid by the rents. No new taxes, right? This is something that we could get going very, very fast. We need more housing here in Penticton, but we need more affordable housing. I'm seeing it on all the groups. The Facebook groups, by the way, awesome. Sometimes interesting. Some of the things that people think that they can say when people are just typing. Just so you guys know, if you say something to me, I won't get offended. I do social media for all of my businesses. Very used to it. I try not to read the comments too much. All right, let's talk about the synthesis here. This is the 5-box framework. So here is the whole system in one line. The math. right? The math just makes sense. The product is very, very simple. We have the land, we have the finance, we have the ops. And you know, one thing that I haven't even talked about yet is all of the jobs that this is going to create, right? The modular especially. I mean, this is something that I'll probably go in and do an entire video about this on modular and talk about how we could actually prop up our own Penticton city-owned modular house company that could pump these out. And if we get really good at this, this can be a bit of a blueprint for other cities around that are looking at this crisis right now, right? We want there to be affordable housing because we want to keep and bring in amazing people into the city to keep it vibrant. We don't just want rich people who are going to come in and purchase things and then suddenly raise all of the housing costs here. I mean, think about this like 10 years ago. This was an affordable place to live, and it is not anymore. It just is not, and we need to do something about it. And I really believe that at the municipal level, this is where we do it. Now, let's talk about the Penticton pilot. This is 150 homes in 18 months. Let's just talk about how we would do this. All right, so the scale, 150 homes on 3 to 5 city sites. I've done a bit of research. There is land for this. Just so everyone knows, the land is there for it, and it's doing nothing. It's doing nothing right now, everyone. So just so we're all aware. So here's the mix that I'm proposing from this video: 40% studios, 40% one beds, and 20% two beds. The target rents are going to be $950 for a studio, $1,300 for a one bed, and $1,750 for a two bed. So the average rent about $1,250. If you go out on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that, you will know that this is incredibly affordable. I know, for instance, that my sister rents a place across town from where I am, and their rent is about $2,400-ish for a two bedroom. So we would be bringing affordability down massively, right? If you think about that, that's like $700-ish. Imagine if you had that extra money that is like a cushion that you could save for a rainy day or whatever, right? You could go spend it at local restaurants. You could make a better life, right? When things are affordable, your life is better. I have no doubt. So let's talk about the back of the napkin math on some of this. So 150 times 1,250 is kind of the average, times 12. It's 2.2 million gross rents per year. Reserve 30% of that for ops and maintenance. So we've got about 1.575 million in rent. So with city land, standardized design and construction loans, and the 100% GST rebate and provincial support, that services the long-term debt without holding rents to the card that we even opened with. That's how we deliver affordability, and we keep it. It's not that crazy, guys. It's really not that crazy of an idea, to be totally honest. I think this is something that we can easily do. So let's talk about the timeline. This is a realistic and fast timeline. And again, I'm going to give you like a realistic timeline. I would like cut this all in half. I think that we can do things a lot faster, and I think that the city can do things a lot faster if they were pushed, which is why I love talking about the stuff. I've been a CEO for a long time, and I love pushing, as you guys can probably tell. It's fine if you guys don't like it, but I want to push and I want to make this place better. All right, months 0 to 6. So we create the Penticton Housing Corporation. We can do that really fast. We'd publish the standard plan set, and we'd select 3 to 5 sites, and then we would submit for financing and support. I would go straight to the federal government and talk to them about this plan and why we think that this plan is a much better plan than others that have been put together from the federal level, and why we think that this should be a municipally supported endeavor. Months 6 to 12, we do permits, servicing, and the first wave of simple houses. In months 12 to 18, we do the first modular walk-up stacks, and then leasing begins. This is realistic, right? By month 18, we have renters in there, if not by month 12, right? That is the awesome thing. This is realistic. If we keep the scope tight and the specs super standard, that's the one big thing here. All right, this is the risk and guardrails. This is how we stay honest, people. Scope creep kills affordability. So we need to freeze the spec. There's no granite, there's no nice to have. It just needs to be simple, right? That's how we stay affordable. Permit friction slows you down. So when we pre-approve typologies and align with small scale multi-unit rules. Operations matter. So we run this through the housing corporation or a vetted nonprofit co-op with clear eligibility and income testing. When housing projects fail, it's almost always one of those three. So we try to box them in. All right, let's talk about the human check here. Does this actually help our neighbors? So let's think about a hospitality worker. We've got lots of them in Penticton that makes $40,000 a year. So 30% says about $1,000 a month that they can afford for housing. In our pilot, a studio at $950 meets that number. Now, how about a young couple that is making about $68K a year? Their line is $1,700. Well, if we can create one beds, let's say like a one bed with a den for $1,300, that gives them breathing room. That is the point. Design rents to the paychecks that we actually have here. Now, I am going to be talking about in another video how we actually create more incredible jobs here in Penticton, because we cannot just rely on tourism jobs, though I love tourism, just so you guys know, but I think that there is so much more that we can do. All right, one motion, how council can start this tomorrow. And by the way, I've had a lot of council members reach out to me in Penticton. Really fun to be able to get to do this. Thanks everyone for watching. It's really great to see, only making a few of these videos so far, how much you guys love this. I know some of you guys have said some things about me being fairly new to Penticton and just saying get out of here. I will not, sorry. I don't get offended very easily, so it's gonna take a little bit more than that. And I've been in sales for a long time, so I just don't take no for an answer. All right, so here's how council can start this tomorrow. Pass one motion, create the Penticton Housing Corporation as an arm's-length, city-owned, operated, build, and manage below-market rentals on city land. Love that. Number two is to publish the standard plan set for simple houses and modular walk-ups, and let's start getting some local bids. We will only take Penticton people and Penticton companies to actually build all of this. These are all local Penticton jobs. We are not getting anyone from Kelowna or from anywhere else. Maybe Summerland. We love Summerland. And then we'd submit a bundle application for construction, loan, and provincial support for the first 3 to 5 sites. And I will tell you, if I was in there and if I actually had the time to be in there, I would be on the phone immediately calling the province and letting them know whoever we need. I would be calling the province, I'd be calling the federal government and letting them know this is what we want to do, and we want to make this an affordable blueprint for the rest of BC. All right, we set the title, Build Affordable with Math, and I really think that I proved it. We did the math. We set a rent card that matches local incomes. We showed how city land and funding stack, make those rents real. We laid out a 150 home pilot that we can launch without raising taxes. So if you want Penticton to lead Canada on real affordability, like this video, I know, I have to ask. Subscribe, do that too. And guys, let me know down in the comments what I missed, whether you like this or not. I will take any feedback from you guys that I can get. So thank you. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I will see you on the next one.